Hey guys, today we are talking about blood types because blood type is a common example of codominance. It's a really good example of this actually. And let me where's the pen? There we go. So codominance is what we were talking about last time. And it's when we have not like a dominant and recessive allele, so like tall and short. It would be like we have something like big A and A prime, where both of these things, say tall and short, these things are equivalent. Okay, so they both function. So both of those genes show up in the offspring. So let's real quick talk about um, the blood types. So if this is group A means type A. So if you have type A blood, what it means to have a certain kind of blood, these are your red blood cells, right? These are your red blood cells. And what it means to have a certain type of blood is that you have a certain type of protein. You have a certain type of protein on the surface. Okay. So in this case, we have these little triangle green proteins, and that would be like the A type protein. If you are type B blood, then you have this certain kind of protein on the surface of the red blood cells. Excuse me. Okay. And if you are AB, you might have guessed, then you are going to have both of those kinds of proteins on the surface of your blood cells. You have this would be the B. I don't know why this is being so funky. And this would be the A, right? So you have both of those on the surface. And then type O blood, you're actually missing proteins on the surface. So you don't have either the A or the B. You have none of those. Okay. So we're not going to talk about like matching blood types or getting transfusions or what it means to like to have a match when you get a transfusion. I just want to talk about the genetics of what it looks like to have these different blood types. Okay, so the codominance part comes into play here when we have type AB. Okay, so rather than the A being dominant or the B being dominant, both of these proteins show up on the cell. Okay, well, I don't know what's happening there. All right. So we have to talk about the alleles, and the alleles are what we were saying are the A's and the B's, or the big A and the little a. So this time, what we're going to do, our notation is going to be a little bit different, but it still is the same kind of system. And instead of having two, like a capital A and a lowercase a, we're going to have three. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing we're going to have is an I. This is an I and A. We put it up there like we'll call it a superscript or like an exponent, right? So IA. So if you have IA, that's going to give you type A blood because this gene, remember this is a gene, it's an allele, specific version of a gene. It gives you that triangle protein that goes on the surface of the red blood cells like we just saw. Whoa, what? My thing is going crazy today. And so it gives you this certain protein, right? Because gene's good for proteins. Cool. So that's that version of the gene. All right. But you don't get a blood type with just one letter. You need two letters. So here's the next one. So this is IB. Okay. And that gives you type B blood because it gives you that B type protein. And I think that was like a hexagon in that picture before. So it gives you this protein. And that protein finds its way onto the surface of yeah. Okay. It's not being very nice to me right now. Anyway, that's the B protein. Try one more time. And it will find its way onto the surface of this kind of red blood cell. So this is a red type A blood. That is type B blood. There we go. All right. And so now the question is type O, what do we have? So instead of having an O, we actually are going to have a little I. And so as you can see here, it says that it is recessive. So what that's going to mean is, remember before, to get the recessive trait, you need two of these to show up in a person. So in order to get type O blood, which is just like a naked red blood cell here with no protein on the surface, no protein, then that means that this person would have to get two of these little I's. Because So see how I said that this makes that protein? Well, this makes nothing. It doesn't make a functional protein. So there's no protein that ends up on the surface here. Okay. So while these two are co-dominant to each other, they are both dominant over the little I. All right. So let's put this into practice. That means there's going to be a couple different ways for us to make these different blood types. So here are our options. Again, we have IA, we have IB, and then we have little I. And just like before, we can put them in different combinations to get a certain phenotype, which is the trait. So in order to get type A, we want to be like IA. So I actually do want you to draw these. So I want you to draw these shapes, and underneath we're going to write the different ways to get this. Okay, so that's one way, right? So you get this one from mom, this one from dad, and so because you need two alleles, and then you have type A blood. Or you can do this. I don't know what that was. You can do that, right? So you say you get that one from mom and that one from dad. And that also gives you type A blood because this is dominant over this one, right? All right, type B, same thing. We're going to be like IB, and we got IB, there's the bell, little I, okay? And then over here, what we're going to have is, you probably guessed, IA, IB. That is the only way to get it. Okay, you need both of these. And so this is showing how they are co-dominant because this codes for that protein and that codes for that protein, and they both show up. One does not dominate over the other. One doesn't mask the other. And then the only way to get no protein on the surface, remember the little I does not give you any protein. So if you have one from mom, one from dad, then you have type O blood like this.